All right, let's jump right in. We're going to get into the mind of one of the absolute giants of Western thought, St. Augustine. We're going to explore how he wrestled with one of the biggest, toughest questions there is, and how he actually used a pagan philosophy to forge a Christian answer that has shaped everything for centuries.
So, here's the big one. This is the question that just absolutely tormented the young Augustine. It's the classic problem of evil, right? If you have a God who is perfect, all good, and all-powerful, well, how in the world do you explain evil? Did God make it? And if not, where did it pop up from? For Augustine, this wasn't some thought experiment. It was a real personal crisis that kicked off this incredible intellectual journey.
You have to remember, before he was St. Augustine, he was just a guy, a really smart and restless seeker. His mom was a Christian, his dad was a pagan, and he was just searching. He was looking for some kind of answer that can make sense of all the suffering in the world, not to mention his own personal struggles. And his first major stop was a pretty radical belief system.
For a while, he got really into Manichaeism. Now, this worldview basically splits the entire universe into this epic, never-ending war. On one side, you have the kingdom of light. That's everything good, spiritual, rational. On the other, the kingdom of darkness. That's evil, matter, chaos. And get this, they saw our souls as little sparks of light that were trapped inside the prison of our dark material bodies.
But after a while, this whole idea started to crumble for Augustine. I mean, think about it. If good and evil are these two equal forces locked in a stalemate forever, then there's no real hope that good can ever actually win. And maybe even worse, it meant that we're all just pawns in some cosmic chess match with no real control over our own lives. It was a pretty bleak and deterministic view, and eventually it just left him feeling completely empty. He had to find a better answer.
So Augustine ditches Manichaeism, and for a bit, he flirts with some serious skepticism, wondering if anyone can really know the truth about anything at all. But then, a bishop named Ambrose points him toward a totally different philosophical system, one that would give him the intellectual tools he desperately needed to build a new worldview. So you can kind of map out his journey here. First, he rejects that two-sided dualistic view of Manichaeism. Then he wrestles with total doubt. And then comes the real turning point, his discovery of Neo-Platonism. Now, this wasn't Christianity, but it was a super sophisticated philosophy that came from Plato, and it offered a completely different way of thinking about God, the soul, and even the nature of evil itself. It was the philosophical vehicle that finally let him drive past that dead end of dualism. So what did he get from these pagan thinkers? Well, a whole new framework, really. First off, the idea that God isn't some physical thing but a pure incorporeal spirit. Second, and this is huge, God isn't just in charge of the good half of reality. God is the source of all being. Everything that exists, period, comes from God, who is the ultimate good. And finally, the real game changer was this. Evil isn't a thing. It's not a substance or a force. It's an absence, a corruption of the good that's supposed to be there.
This concept of privation is so important we have to really break it down. Evil doesn't have its own existence. It's like a parasite on the good. The analogy here is perfect. Rot isn't a thing in itself. It's just the absence of health in an apple. Blindness isn't a substance you can hold. It's the absence of sight in an eye. For Augustine, this was the key that unlocked everything. Evil wasn't something God created. It's just a twisting or a corruption of the good creation God made.
Okay, so Neoplatonism gave him this amazing new engine. But he couldn't just drop it into his Christian worldview as is. It wasn't a perfect fit. To make it truly Christian, he had to perform some major modifications. He basically had to convert Plato to Christianity. The first big change he made was about what makes us tick as humans. For the Platonists, reason was king. Their motto was pretty much, to know the good is to do the good. Salvation came through your intellect. Well, Augustine completely disagreed. He argued that the real center of a person isn't the intellect, it's the will. It's not enough to just know what's good, we have to freely choose it and love it. Our problems, our sin, come from a broken will.
The second major rewrite was about creation itself. The Neoplatonists believed the world sort of emanated from God, like light flowing out from a star. This meant the world was, in a way, made of the same stuff as God. Augustine said, no way. He held to the Christian doctrine of creation ex nihilo, that God created the world out of absolutely nothing. This was crucial because it meant the world is good, sure, but it's totally separate from God. It protects God's perfection from all the corruption you find down here in the world.
So, with these critical adjustments made, Augustine finally lands on his powerful final synthesis, a whole new way of looking at morality, centered on one single powerful force.
And this, right here, is the bottom line for Augustine. After centuries of Greek philosophy putting reason on a pedestal, he comes along and says, nope, our lives aren't ultimately guided by what we think, but by what we desire, what we're passionate about, what we love. It's that simple and that profound. What you love determines who you become.
And he even takes the classic Greek virtues, courage, justice, temperance, and completely redefines them through this new lens of love. Courage isn't just being brave. It's what happens when you love God so much that you can face anything else. Justice isn't just about fairness. It's about giving God his proper honor first, which then lets you order everything else correctly. Even temperance, or self-control, becomes about keeping your love for God pure and uncorrupted. Every single virtue gets rerouted through love.
So when you boil it all down, the ultimate takeaway is this. For Augustine, morality is not about memorizing a rule book. It's all about the direction of your heart. Are your loves in the right order, with God at the very top? Or are they all jumbled up, where you love lesser things more than the ultimate good? That direction of your love, well, that defines your entire life.
And that leads us to the final, piercing question that Augustine's whole philosophy leaves us with. It's a question that just leaps across 1,600 years and asks us, right now, to take a hard look at what's really driving us. If we are what we love, what does that make you? It's definitely something worth thinking about.